The first thing I saw at 5:03 in the morning was a woman in a sequined lavender blazer standing barefoot on my lawn, shrieking that I was holding her wedding hostage. The second thing I saw was 30 confused wedding guests in folding chairs spilling across my property line, a harpist packing up her instrument like she regretted every life choice that led her here, and a guy in a rumpled tux arguing with a caterer about chafing dishes. Behind them all, police lights painted my gazebo in alternating red and blue. The woman in sequins was Donnell Brackett, HOA president of Cypress Run Estates, legally known as the Morning Karen. She jabbed a finger at my gazebo and demanded the officers arrest me for refusing entry to what she called a community asset. I took another slow sip of my coffee and nodded toward the officers with a calm I definitely did not feel inside. "Morning," I said. "Before we do anything dramatic, I would love to show you the security footage of her breaking into my yard at 2:17 this morning." The 30 wedding guests turned in slow motion. The groom's mother gasped. The bride looked like she was about to elope with the harpist. And somewhere behind the squad car lights, the sun started to rise over Cypress Run Estates, illuminating what had to be the dumbest war ever fought over a backyard structure. I bought the house at the end of Cypress Run 3 years earlier. Corner lot, mature oak tree, and as the real estate listing bragged, room for your outdoor dreams. My outdoor dream turned out to be one thing: a big, solid, beautifully overbuilt gazebo. I got the permits. I submitted the plans. I attended the meeting. That was where I first met her. Donnell Brackett, HOA president of Cypress Run, queen of sensible wedges and weaponized clipboards. She spoke in a tone that suggested she had been personally wronged by every trash can left out overnight in the continental United States. "Just understand," she said, squinting at my gazebo drawings, "we do not want structures that encourage, gatherings." "I work from home and play video games," I replied. "The only gathering I host is my Wi-Fi signal." They approved it, reluctantly. For a glorious year, I had peace. Morning coffee, late-night reading, my little string lights, my hammock, my freedom. I was the king of one small wooden kingdom. Then, last spring, Donnell's niece got engaged. And suddenly, everyone in Cypress Run learned one crucial fact. Donnell had always wanted a sunrise gazebo wedding. The only missing piece? A gazebo that did not belong to her. The first sign of trouble was the community newsletter that appeared in mailboxes one Monday. On page 2, in Comic Sans and clip art doves, it read that we were thrilled to announce Cypress Run's very first sunrise wedding experience, hosted under our community's beautiful lakeside gazebo. There was only one lakeside gazebo. Mine. I read it 3 times, then looked out my kitchen window at my very private, very personally funded gazebo. It was definitely not our anything. I marched to the HOA office, which was actually the converted dining room in Donnell's house. "Hey," I said, newsletter in hand. "No." Donnell smiled the smile of a woman who believed God herself reported to the HOA. "Oh, Nate," she said in a saccharine voice. "Do not be so territorial. The board agreed your gazebo improves community aesthetics. It is practically an amenity. Then the board can build its own," I replied. "Like I did." Her smile tightened. "Everyone is so excited. It would be rude to disappoint them now." I left with a simple, documented statement. No permission. Private property. Not available. That is when it started. A violation notice for a non-approved color temperature of my string lights. Another for unapproved outdoor ornamentation, apparently referring to my wind chimes. A third citing unregistered gathering when my brother came over for a barbecue. Then came the drone. A tiny quadcopter hovered over my yard one afternoon while I was in the hammock, snapping photos. It had a fluorescent orange sticker that read property of Cypress Run Estates HOA. I waved at it. Then I raised my phone, filmed it clear as day, and emailed the video to the HOA address with the subject line "Stop Aerial Creeping." No reply. Instead, I got an email that read as previously discussed and agreed upon, "Your gazebo will be used on June 1st for a small family wedding ceremony. Thank you for your cooperation in making Cypress Run a community of shared joy." At the bottom, it said "Sent from the desk of President Donnell Brackett." Attached was an alleged reply from me saying "Sounds good. Happy to help," with a smiley face. I had never sent that. And I knew exactly where this was headed. The week before the wedding, I installed 2 new things. A set of loud, bright motion-activated floodlights covering the entire yard. Extra cloud backups for all my security cameras. I also emailed Donnell, copying the entire board and the HOA's lawyer who I found buried in the CC field of the bylaw PDFs. I do not consent to any event on my property. Any attempt will be trespassing. See attached property survey. Then came the night before the wedding. At 2:17 in the morning, my cameras caught the show. A convoy of cars pulled up. Donnell in her sequined blazer. A small crowd of relatives. 2 guys hauling folding chairs. A florist dragging buckets of flowers. They quietly opened my gate. She had apparently copied my old key before I changed the lock, and that was on camera too. They started setting up. An archway in front of my gazebo steps. 30 chairs in neat rows stretching across my grass. A portable speaker system labeled Cypress Run Events. And then, the floodlights erupted on. Everyone froze like they had been flashbanged by a home improvement store. I stepped out onto the patio in my bathrobe. "What," I said calmly, "in the homeowners association heck are you doing?" Donnell shielded her eyes. "This is a sanctioned event," she hissed. "Cool," I replied. "Show me the sanction that includes my private property." Instead of leaving, she doubled down. "If you interfere again," she said with venom in her voice, "I will have you removed from the community. This is happening, whether you like it or not." The guests scattered, mumbling. The groom looked mortified. Someone tripped over a folding chair. I pointed at the gate. "Everybody out." They left in a flurry of tool and passive aggression. 2 hours later, I saw squad car lights reflecting off my bedroom wall. At 5 o'clock in the morning on the dot, Donnell stood in my front yard with a phone pressed to her ear, telling 911 that a hostile homeowner was threatening her family and blocking entry to a community structure. By the time the officers got there, I had already queued up the footage. "Okay," Officer Daniels said, rubbing his eyes as the body cam recorded everything. "Let's get this straight." He looked at me. "You own the gazebo?" "Yes," I said, handing over the printed property survey. "Paid for it, permitted it, and I have the receipts and emails from when they approved it as a personal improvement." I handed over a second printout, the forged sounds good, happy to help email, alongside my actual sent email that said absolutely not, see attached. Daniels flipped through the pages. His partner, Officer Nguyen, watched the security footage on my tablet. Donnell unlocking the gate at 2:17 in the morning. The setup, the chairs, the arch, all with timestamps. Behind them, the 30 wedding guests shifted awkwardly in the pre-dawn light. The bride's mascara was dangerously close to giving up. "So," Daniel said slowly, turning back to Donnell, "you told dispatch he threatened you?" He did," she said, voice shaking, though not from fear. "He raised his voice. He said what in the HOA heck? You heard him." I took another sip of coffee. "In my defense," I said, "it was 2 in the morning and you were staging a coup in my yard." Nguyen rewound the footage, watched again, then looked up. "I do not see any threats. I do see you entering his property without permission, President Brackett." "Excuse me," she snapped. "It is Madam President. And the gazebo is a community focal point." "Ma'am," Daniel said, sounding like he had been waiting his whole career to say this, "that gazebo is legally a focal point of one person. The guy paying taxes on it." He turned to the crowd. "I am going to need everyone not invited by the homeowner to clear his property. Sidewalk and street are public. His lawn is not." The murmur that swept the guests this time was different. Less awkward, more interested. The groom's mother stepped forward. "Hold on. Are you telling me she planned our whole wedding on someone else's yard without asking?" I raised my hand lazily. "She did ask." I said no. That part just did not make it into the brochure. The mother slowly pivoted toward Donnell with the energy of a woman about to write the meanest Yelp review known to man. "Donnell," her voice was ice. "We paid you a coordination fee." Nguyen glanced at Daniels. "Coordination fee? Do not worry, I said mildly. I archived the ad she posted and the Venmo screenshots they sent me by mistake. I held up my phone. There it was on the Cypress Run Facebook page. Sunrise Gazebo wedding package with sparkle emojis. Includes exclusive access to private lakeside gazebo, chairs, decor. Hosted by HOA President Donnell B. The comments were already spicy. Daniels sighed. Okay. This just became paperwork. The fallout came faster than even I expected. By the end of the week, 3 things had happened. The couple filed a formal complaint with the city and their bank, listing fraudulent venue representation by one Donnell Brackett. The Cypress Run board called an emergency session. 7 people in folding chairs in the clubhouse, all of whom had seen the Facebook ad. A very calm woman from the county prosecutor's office left a business card in my mailbox asking for my video files. At the emergency session, Donnell tried to maintain control. "This is all a misunderstanding," she said, standing at the front with a printed agenda labeled minor clarifications. "We simply leveraged a community asset for," and one of the board members, a retired accountant named Jim, cleared his throat. "Donnell, the treasurer report shows HOA funds were used for wedding deposits. Chairs. Harpist. Caterer. You labeled them spring event supplies. That gazebo," she said, knuckles whitening on her clipboard, "belongs to the spirit of Cypress Run." "It belongs to the guy who filed a trespassing report," Jim replied, "which the police forwarded to the DA. Who called me. Personally." Someone in the back whispered "Oh my God" like they were watching live theater. I was not at the meeting, but I got the full story from 3 separate neighbors and one ecstatic board member who sent me bullet-pointed memos. In the end, the board voted. Donnell was removed as HOA president effective immediately. A motion passed banning any HOA official from advertising private property as community assets. The HOA's insurance carrier was notified, and they were not amused. A month later, Donnell stood in an actual courtroom, listening to the judge lecture her about filing a false police report, trespassing, and misappropriating HOA funds for personal use. "For someone so concerned with rules, Miss Brackett," the judge said, "you seem to struggle with the basic ones." She ended up with a conviction for filing a false report, with a year of probation. Mandatory restitution to the couple and the HOA account. 200 hours of community service. And given the specific circumstances, the judge added dryly, "Your community service will be fulfilled by assisting with setup and cleanup at public events, under supervision, and absolutely not on anyone's private property." Donnell's face went pale as she gripped the edge of the defendant's table. Her lawyer tried to whisper something to her, but she just stared straight ahead, jaw clenched. The gavel came down with a sharp crack that echoed through the courtroom. As the bailiff escorted her out, I could see her shoulders shaking, not from tears, but from barely contained rage at the fact that her perfect little kingdom had just crumbled over a gazebo she never owned in the first place.